Another interesting rumor that came out yesterday, which is that the Seattle Seahawks have now emerged as a potential trade destination, and they've actually been in discussions with the Atlanta Falcons for Julio Jones. The fact that Russell Wilson and Julio Jones have actually been have been discussing a potential trade and playing together. Now, Seattle, listen, they kind of boast a talented wide receiving core. You already have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, who both amassed over 10 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards receiving last year together. So, is wide receiver their most important need? Not really. The question is whether a move like this would catapult them to being the favorites in the NFC. And to me, while there's no question this would be a huge addition to the Seattle Seahawks, of course it would I mean, their offense would be absolutely explosive in the passing game, but all that this would do is fortify and buttress their standing in the NFC. And to me, even before this trade, they were a top 5 team in the NFC. And I think that you have the Bucks, and this is in no particular order, but you have the Tampa Bay Bucks, the Buccaneers, the Rams, the Packers, the Seahawks, and the 49ers. Now, to me, I always had the Seahawks as the fourth best team in the NFC, even prior to these rumors, ahead of the 49ers, just because of the question marks surrounding their quarterback position. And to me, if they were to sign Julio Jones, all this would do is just strengthen and, again, solidify their position as the fourth best team in the NFC. I still would take the Bucks, the Rams, and the Packers over them. Because what's been the biggest deficiency for the Seahawks? It's been their defense. Yes, they added Carlos Dunlap, and he's been a game changer as far as creating pressure and sacking opposing quarterbacks. He's been a major addition. Obviously, you pair him with a healthy Jamal Adams, and this is a different Seattle Seahawks defense. But that's been their biggest area of need. And this was an offense that, again, what was about middle of the pack. But if you really evaluate why did this team start to struggle, because their defense wasn't good. Why did they lose 30-20 to the Rams in the NFC wildcard game? It's a combination of Russell Wilson just happened to play one of the worst performances of his career in the postseason, had a 16 QBR, and the defense wasn't good. If you add Julio Jones, you're just kind of strengthening a strength. I mean, look at the Atlanta Falcons as the perfect example. Who were they last year? They were a top 5 passing attack in the NFL last year, and what did it lead to? It led to a 4-12 record. It's their defense that was atrocious. It's their defense that let them down and why they lost a bunch of these games. They couldn't get stops. And they gave up over 40 points to the Dallas Mavericks. They lost to the Detroit Lions because they gave up a game-winning drive. The defense was the biggest issue, not to mention if if you're the Seahawks and you really want to try and improve your offense, you should probably improve your running game, because it was the running game that if the running game got going, then that's what opens up the pass attack for Russell Wilson. If you're really trying to address an area of need on the offensive side, it's actually the run game. Like if the Seattle Seahawks could get their hands on a Christian McCaffrey or an Alvin Kamara, for example, okay, now you got something. That's gonna move the needle a bit for the Seattle Seahawks. But Julio Jones, to me, it just fortifies their position as a legitimate top 4 team in the NFC. Without him, they're still a top 4 team, in my opinion. So it's not necessary, but again, it's possible that adding him could have a major effect. It would certainly take him away from another contender in the NFC or a team in potentially the way of the Seattle Seahawks. But is it absolutely imperative that they get him and absolutely critical and vital? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Okay.